Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Chairman Gamba,
Here.
Vice Chairman Reynolds,
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Reyna,
Here.
Director Pursuit,
Here.
Director Moxie,
Here.
and Director Spammer.
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Okay. With that, let's go to a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic which is
and one nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
We go to the invocation.
Dear God, as we leave this meeting, we ask that you guide our counsel. Help us to accomplish our goal while displaying your character. We pray these things to your mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Public comment.
We have no public comment at this time, Chairman, that I'm aware of.
Okay, let's go ahead and go to Resolution A. Resolution A 21-46, the awarding of the contract to Hollis Construction Inc. for the construction of the 365 Tollwell project from US 281 to Military Highway FM 396 on Lewis Highway. Go ahead, Pilar.
Chairman and Director, on October 13th, the sealed bid for the construction of the 365 tollway project, again, from US 281 Military Highway to 396 Highway Division. This project is for a plant facility, approximately 4.2 miles in length. We received 3 bids. They ranged from the low bid at $932,420 to the high bid at $340,009,000. The engineer's estimate for this project is $295,495, $7.
Pilar, you're going in and out really bad. You need to stay close to the mic, not move too much.
Okay, let me get a little closer. Let me see it.
Perfect.
Yeah, see if this helps. Does it sound better?
A lot better.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me start all over again. On October 13th, 2021, the authority opened sealed bids for the 365 project from US 281 Military Highway to FM 396 or the Ansel Lewis Highway. This is a controlled access expressway type facility, 12.2 miles in length. We received 3 bids, with the low bidder being Hollis Construction Incorporated at $932,420.25. And then with the high bidder being Anderson Columbia at $340,409,415.64. And then the middle bidder, or second lowest bidder, was Weber LLC in the amount of $314,811,452.25. The engineer's estimate for this project was $259,495,007.09. So the low bid is $36,437,413.16 over the engineer's estimate. Based on review by staff, we're recommending award of the construction contract to the lowest responsible bidder, Hollis Construction Incorporated, in the amount of $295,932,420.25 for construction of the project, as well as identifying function-oriented techniques to improve the value of the project, or any component thereof, including improvement to the schedule, operating costs, constructability, and risk mitigation. So staff is recommending approval subject to that and to concurrence from the Texas Department of Transportation. Entertain questions that the board may have.
Is there any questions by the board? Pilar, I'd like to know, from your perspective in history, what is the number of times that the value engineer is done by, you know, the engineer, and then we miss it by this time, by this far off? I mean, how often does that happen?
So,
I mean, this is just so far off, it didn't even make sense. So, I mean,
so from the authority historical perspective, this is the second time that we've bid the project, and this is the second time that we've been off in approximately the same amount. The first time we were off approximately $30 million, and this time we're off approximately $36 million. I did have a conversation with Pete Alvarez, the TxDOT district engineer, and what they're having right now is that projects are coming in overbid or over estimate, actually, over engineer's estimate, and they're having quite a few projects coming in over engineer's estimate. In speaking to all three contractors, we interviewed all three contractors the day after the bids were open to see why the prices were high. And the main contributing factor that we found right now was the uncertainty for the supply chain and escalation of prices over the life of the project, which is approximately 42 months. And so they've built a lot of risk into their bids to address the uncertainty with the supply chain for the life of the project, which is approximately 4 years. And all three contractors have indicated basically the same type of risk that drove them to have higher bids.
And I guess of all the projects that have been bid at the state level, do we know what percentages come in at or under budget from what the engineering has been? Yeah,
I do not know that answer, Chairman, but we could certainly inquire with TxDOT to see. There's a couple of projects in the area that are of this scope and magnitude. One is the interchange project. The other one is the La Jolla relief route. Pullis actually happens to be the contractor for the interchange, the Pharr interchange, and for a portion of the La Jolla relief route, with Columbia Anderson being the other contractor that has the remainder of the La Jolla relief route. So we can inquire on those three projects to see where they've landed as it relates to the engineer's estimate versus actual bid.
How much is the increase in the material since a year ago, whatever? You said the number 2 was increase of material. What kind of percent of increase are we talking about here?
So we've seen in the last 12 months, we've seen a 10 to 15% increase in material prices, just materials alone. And those are your aggregate, sand, flexible base, those are components that are used in either concrete, even in hot mix asphalt. So those are materials that are needed for production of various components of the project.
What percent of this project is the material cost?
That, Director, we did not analyze because this is a unit bid contract.
Okay.
So material and labor is built into the price, and we do not have material versus labor delineated on a unit bid contract.
I have another question. There's allocation for mobilization on this contract fee, right? They're already here from what I understand. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. They're already here, but they also built And all three contractors also respectively, they maxed out on their mobilization, which is approximately 9.5% of the contract amount. So all three contractors maxed out mobilization. And the other place that you'll see an increase in the unit price is preparation of right-of-way. And so again, in interviewing all three contractors last week after the bids were open, they all indicated that their risk was built into the mobilization and the preparation of right-of-way, which are your first two line items in the bid.
I mean, that's, I think since they're already here, they don't have to come in. I mean, I think there's a lot that can be done to get us to where we need to go.
Yeah, so Chairman, the low bidder, Pullis, has already indicated to us that there are potential savings in the project that they've already identified. They've identified approximately half a dozen items. At this point, they're just estimates, but they estimate approximately $13 million in savings that they've been able to identify. You know, after the contract is awarded, then we would entertain the value engineering change proposal process. It's built into the contract, and let them define those numbers further. Those are just approximate estimates that they submitted to us. So we think staff has looked at them, and we think that all the line items that they've submitted have merit for consideration.
So what number, Pilar, this is Forrest, with value engineering, what do you think you can get the number down to?
Well, we have
an estimate.
I think we can be somewhere between $15 and $30 million, Director, to answer your question. Just, you know,
Aggregate.
Give a range, somewhere in there aggregately, that we can be somewhere in that range in a reduction.
Pilar, help me out here. This is Zeke. You're recommending that we approve this amount. And which comes first? Is this approval of this agreement contingent upon value engineering savings at a certain set sum? Or is it just basically the approval of the contract and we go at it willy-nilly without any type of condition or qualifications as to how much we can basically save on the value engineering?
So
I think we just first myself, Salom's Cantu. You can't, I mean, you already approved that. It's not going to be, I don't know. I would be how long would it take if you do the value engineering?
So it would probably, we could probably get it figured out in 30 days approximately probably on the fast end. A lot of the concepts have already been vetted. So it's a matter of the contractor putting the pencil to it and calculating the true savings in those areas, because a lot of these concepts have already been vetted, and so they have merit, and it's just a matter of, okay, what's going to be the order of magnitude of the savings. So we can't do that unless we have a contract awarded, so that we can begin the negotiation change order.
Why can't we do that?
Yes, sir.
Why can't we do that? Why can't we just go value engineer, see what the price comes in and see if we like it?
Well, that's my question, Alonso. That's my question. Do we agree to it on contingent upon a number that we're going to set for savings? Or do we just set what Alonso said? Let's go to the value engineering first and then let them come back and us approve it. Which one comes first?
So
Yeah, we have to award the contract. My understanding is, and then they do the value engineering. That's what I understood.
yes, sir. And I believe Blake is on the, and she can,
Pilar, if you're telling us that you can save maybe between $15 and $30 million, is that correct?
yes, sir. That's what we estimate.
Then I move to avoid the contractor to not accept it,
To do what, Alonso?
to not accept the contract, to avoid it, so we can have them rebid it with value engineering.
Director, I don't, the way we set up this contract, that's not the way we've set it up. I'll ask the legal counsel to kind of chime in on it, because she helped us with the contract provisions.
You know, because we did this as a design bid build contract, the value engineering piece, it's an overlay we've put in the contract so that we had the ability to go back in and get savings. Not an ordinary provision in a design bid build. If we were to cancel this contract, cancel this process, and we'd have to start over again.
And how long would that take? If they have the numbers.
Deliver the bond
That-
at the time that we've scheduled all of that.
So,
How long would that take? Because they already have numbers anyway.
so
I'm not
we,
sure what makes a difference.
Well, so I guess the question would be, do we take the value engineering concepts and do we redesign the project? Go through a whole new process of estimating and then issuing the procurement and.
Well, I thought that we already had sort of value engineering, that didn't take that long because it was already done. Is that what you just said a while ago?
so what I said.
Well, I mean, I guess the difference is whether if we're doing it with the contractor at this point, we really only have 120 days between contract award and NTP that the bid prices are guaranteed. So if we can't agree to changes within the 120 days, we lose the
But I thought
the
you
unit
said
price.
I thought you said it's going to take no more than a month. So you got 90 days after that.
I don't know how long it would take for them. I mean, it would just depend on the value engineering.
No, that's what I just said
components
because
that
of the
they're
fact.
proposing and.
So Director, to answer your question, if we were to cancel the bid and incorporate the value engineering concepts that we think that have merit, it's a redesign because it's a design bid build. So we'd have to go back and redesign the project to incorporate all of that. That'd take time and money, and
Well, it costs more than $15-30 million to do that.
right. And so
That was my question, Pilar. Legally, Alonso's asking, can we do value engineering before we award the contract? And legally saying, no, we cannot do that because the process that we set up doesn't allow us to do that. So if in fact that's true, then the second question is, can we do it to where we award the contract and still have some type of contingency on the value engineering amount?
Well, the other question I have, why can't we just cancel the contract and start? We don't accept it. There's a potential of $15 to $30 million, probably closer to 30.
I think that the issue is timing and bonds and interest rates, Alonso, for the whole project.
Oh, yeah, but
And I think
unless I misunderstood, Pilar said it would take 30 days to look at the value engineer plan, come up with a proposal. You got 120 days.
So we think that because the way the value engineering is structured, Director Cantu, is that the contractor does the engineering and the estimating. Okay, if we were to cancel this and go back to the drawing board, then we'd have to procure engineers. We'd have to go through that process.
Well, that doesn't, from this point of view, and I'm not a no, that doesn't make any sense to me. If the engineer did it in such a way with $15-30 million worth of value, the engineer done it, or we should have told the contractor, give us this prices and then give us a price for the value engineer all at one time.
That's not the way it was structured.
No, but who structured it?
We did the authority.
Okay, then maybe we
Yeah,
messed up.
we're following a structure. The design
that.
bid build structure is that's a set process. We've worked with TechStat to agree to allow us to keep value engineering language. This will be the only project in the state that uses a post-award value engineering process.
Good.
My understanding is we did value engineering with the engineers as we designed the project.
Well,
the
but then,
ECP we've got in here is designed for the contractor once they look at the project, so they can say, with our expertise and our experience and the way we do projects, we think we can bring you some savings. But when those
So it's
savings
already
become
done that.
board,
then
they're
it's already
split
been done,
with the contractor.
right? Hold on. So if we pass out the plans, look at the value engineer plans are done by engineers, they should have it already.
Which is different kinds of
But
value engineering.
you said that the contractor didn't have to do the plans. But that says they have to redo the plans, the engineer or the contractor. But if it was submitted like that, then whoever the contractor is should have the value for the cost.
No,
Yeah.
sir.
I think with the,
Yes, Alonso, I'm with you, Alonso, too. This is it. I think the problem that we're having here, Alonso, is that legally we can't put basically the cart before the horse. Procedurally, Alonso, we're not allowed to legally do value engineering before we award the contract, which I think,
Okay.
so you,
is
right.
I'm with you, Alonso. I think we should have done it the other way. But unfortunately, I think there's a process that's legal that we have to follow. Is that what you're telling us, Pilar?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, but
So what
uh,
happens
Right.
is we award the contract first, and then once the contract's awarded, we do the value engineering. And then we can either accept the contract or not accept the contract after the value engineering is done.
That is correct.
oh, we can do that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
That's how we did it with Johnson Brothers. They did not have the incentive then to bring us savings, right? What they brought us was a more expensive project.
Oh, yes.
But with Johnson Brothers, we did the award conditional upon bringing us to a number we could finance. And so it was a limited award. In this case, I think, that Richard has run the numbers, and we're at a number right now that he believes we can still finance.
Well, then
I mean,
Pilar,
that's money.
Right. Yeah.
Money. Not about saving. I mean, come on, guys.
It's
Pilar-
about saving money.
Pilar, we're all
Yeah.
saying the same thing then. If we award this, it's going to be contingent. It's not a final agreement.
Well, I don't have problem
Then-
doing that as long as we can cancel the contract later on. Don't come back to we're enough time.
That's correct, Alonso, because let's say they come back with $10 million savings, we can say no. But if they come back with $30 million savings, then we can finalize the agreement. Is that right?
Yes. So
Yes.
Chairman.
Oh, but what I'm saying is, if through the plans it is, and then go value engineering, and they can come up with any number, right? It depends on the time, and then they say we have to do it because we're out of time.
Well, we've done that before. We'll do what's right for us.
That's what I'm saying. That's what Johnson Builders have. When hires, we just denied it.
Right.
So Chairman and Directors, the award is subject to bring the project back to budget and concurrence from TxDOT. So
And before we give them a notice to proceed, I mean, we control all of that process.
And financing, right?
and financing.
But it's all got to work. And in the rising rate environment which we're facing, they're going to have to come back to a much bigger number of cost savings so that we can get this thing through, because we still have to sell the bonds.
Right.
So I mean,
this
it's in everybody's best interest to work. There's enough fluff in this deal, I believe, to where we can get to the number we need to get to.
So
And
Blake,
at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, we just pull back.
Blakely, this is a conditional agreement then. Is that correct? It's not a final agreement.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a decision for the board to make. The ordinary process would be to do a contract award for the bid amount using the contract that was attached to the bid document. So if we want to approve a conditional award like we did in 2017, we'd need to make it a different kind of motion.
Okay, I with the motion that we approve it as presented with the option of canceling the contract if we don't like that final bid after value engineering.
Can we put a date on that, Alonso, on the value engineering? Like, what do you need?
They said 30 days.
30 days?
Well, so we have
30 days.
we have 120 days to get the contract to do that. So we wouldn't want to shortchange the process.
Yeah, Alonso, give him 60 days, Alonso, at least.
Okay, you don't come back and say we don't have enough time. We have to go with a bid, whether it's higher or lower.
Yeah, but we may want to give him 60 days to find some more savings.
Pilar just said that they have 30 days or less.
Director, that's what I estimated, that we could do that in approximately 30 days. We think that that's what we can do it, but the contract has 120 days built into it for us to issue a notice to proceed. So I would like at least that 120 days.
Oh, I don't get that either. So what happens if?
We'll do it as
What
quickly
happens?
as, but I would, don't tie our hands, please.
Well, if we can cut back to 120 days, right, to like 90 days, and then their best estimate within 45 days, because we still have to get financing.
Right.
And with rates being with what they're being right now, we need to do something quickly to lock those bonds in, right?
So we work diligently because we need to make the financing window. So that's what's really driving the time. We're not going to draw it out, but if for whatever reason we need more time.
Pilar, you're breaking up. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Director, what I was saying was that what's driving the time here is the financing for the project. That's the critical path because of interest rates and getting that.
From a business point of view, you guys keep digging. So now you're saying because of the financing, we're not going to do this, we need to take the deal.
No. What I'm telling you is that our schedule calls for us to finance this project before the year's up, to finance it by December. And so that is the critical path that as we go through this value engineering, that we're trying to make that schedule. So that's what will be driving us to do this as quickly as possible.
I agree. But I mean, you guys doing the finances there, can you do that? Or is there somebody else who can?
Richard, can we start working on the process now?
We already are.
This is Richard. So we've been working on the process, and one of the last things we're waiting on is a final contract amount. Now, the contract is conditional on being able to finance, and we actually do need, and I recommend we do get whatever savings we can, and the more the better, because of pressure, the upward pressure on rates, the higher contract amount, it's put kind of the subordinate lien, the second tier lien bonds to where they may not be investment grade at this level.
Hey, Richard, this is
yes,
Forrest.
sir.
This is Forrest. Let me interrupt you real quick. Does the board ultimately make the final decision on whether the project can be financed or not?
No.
Yes. I mean, whether you go forward or not, yes.
No, his question is.
The board.
Go ahead, Forrest.
The board has to ultimately make the decision upon whether or not the project can be financed, correct? With and through your advice.
But also,
yes,
we'd like to finance too.
And with the math, whatever the math is, ultimately.
Yeah, no, but my question is this, Richard: if the board ultimately cannot get comfortable with the price of the project and whether or not it can be financed, according to we can choose not to move forward, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I think his question is, we have to actually, not that we can get it financed, is do we have the final say-so to either agree or not agree to the type of financing? Do we have the final say-so on that?
Yes, you do.
My question also, Richard, is this. We award the contract, we as a board, award the contract, go through the value engineering process, come up with a number, financing's brought back to the board, and if we're not comfortable with what that number is by way of financing it, we can choose at that point not to move forward, correct?
That is correct.
Blakely, do you understand what Forrest is asking? The question is that this contract has to be basically conditioned on getting funding. So the question is, what is getting funding? Does that mean that if we're not comfortable with the numbers, we still have the final say-so on that? Not that whether we get funding or not, is that do we either feel comfortable or don't feel comfortable with the type of funding, even though we get funding with a type of funding? Do we still have the final say-so on that on the condition of the contract?
So, I mean, the language in our bid it feels more technical to me than opinion. It says the project will be financed by bonds, which will be issued after the construction contract is awarded and executed. There is no guarantee that the HCRMA will be able to secure bonds in the amount of the proposed contract. And so ultimately NTP would not be issued until we've got bonds secured. The liability we might be creating by restructuring this piece is something I'd rather talk about in executive session.
Okay.
We need a motion to move into executive session,
We can.
if that's what the board chooses to do.
I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Just,
Hey, did
guys,
we
just
get
to let you know.
directions? What do we call in for the executive session?
So we've emailed all of you the number for executive session. It should be in your inbox in your email, with the number to dial in.
All right, it's Moxley.
Just to let you know, Pilar, I don't have a phone connection, just a Wi-Fi connection.
Oh, okay. Do you have a Wi-Fi calling, Mr. Spammer? I think you can still dial into that number over Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
No, I
that's
don't have Wi-Fi where I am. No. Forrest, are you in the meeting or are you on the phone?
I'm on the phone.
Okay. Is everybody on the phone? I was going to say someone could call me on the cell phone from there.
Mox, I'll send it to you.
I'll send.
Yeah.
Okay, Chairman
Mox,
Director,
I just sent it to you.
please go dial in.
A motion to reconvene. Zeke,
Yeah, so moved by Zeke.
got a motion to reconvene, motion by Zeke. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Forrest. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
All same sign, motion carries.
Director Box is on now.
Okay. All right, could I get a motion, to entertain moving forward with the construction contract? Conditional contract upon two items: acceptance by the Texas Department of Transportation as required by the project development agreement, and secondly, a board approval of financing prior to any issuance of notice to proceed. Can someone entertain that motion?
So moved. Davis, Forrest, Runnels.
I got a motion by Forrest, a second by Paul.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Gilad, do you have any other additional business?
Chairman and Director, no additional.
Okay, if there is no additional business, could I get a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn by
And a motion by Zeke. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second by Frank. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you all very much for taking your time this evening to go over this very important matter. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys soon.